Good afternoon, everyone. It is Thursday, May 1, approximately 1 p.m. This is the regular meeting of the Rancho Mirage City Council and Community Services District, Energy Authority, Housing Authority, Joint Powers Finance Authority, Library and Observatory, and Redevelopment Successor Agency Boards. I would now ask you if you would join me in saluting our great country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Downs?
I'm here.
Councilmember Fromberg-Edelstein?
Present.
Councilmember O'Keefe?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Mulatto?
Present.
And Mayor Weil.
Here. Nice to see you all here. Thank you for joining us today. We have several presentations this afternoon. The first one that is extremely important and close to the hearts of our city is Eisenhower Health Project Update. And I will ask Michael Landis, President of Eisenhower Health Foundation, and Monica Vasquez, Director of Community Giving, if they would come to the podium, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Is this on? Oh, good. Mr. Mayor, Council, City Manager, we're really thankful that you all put us on the agenda and you put us up front because I think we're running fast at Eisenhower nowadays. And but I wanted to make the presentation, but I wanted everyone to also to meet Monica, who is our head of community services, and Monica is a fireball. And I say that I report to Monica, and that's kind of how it works around the foundation at Eisenhower. So, but thank you, Monica, for interacting and for helping us get this all organized. So I'm going to start the presentation, and Monica, if you want, you don't have to stand here if you don't wish. Oh, good. Well, first of all, I want to say with all genuineness that we're in probably the greatest city in the Coachella Valley, if not California. I think Eisenhower would not be what it is if it wasn't for our city of Rancho Mirage and the way we have had a warm relationship, but we also have the same vision. The vision for which council has been able to enact for many, many, many years, and I've been here for 25 years at Eisenhower, has been a vision for excellence and Eisenhower has a very similar vision for what we want to do and what we want to accomplish. So I'm here to give you an update on how we're implementing that vision, and also to be a little bit more, if you will, responsible about the last large grant that the hospital made was to cardiovascular. I want to show you where it's gone. So we'll start with just sharing with you that Eisenhower is now all the way from North Palm Springs. We have 4 now facilities. We're located with over 100 clinics now throughout the Coachella Valley, in North Palm Springs all the way to Indio. We just opened up our first primary care facility in Indio. And I think for the very first time over the last several years, we've said to ourselves, we have the ability to grasp the entire Coachella Valley as being responsible from a community hospital standpoint for, if you will, as many as we possibly can. And we've changed in some regards. We've done that not only by investing in these locations that are throughout the Coachella Valley, but we've also been able to do things whereby we've decided to take on Medicaid patients that may not allow the hospital to earn income, but it's our responsibility to see the care and to take care of, if you will, those that also have very little ability to engage with a great healthcare organization. We want to provide them with the very best. The final thing that we've done is we invested in a mobile clinic thanks to philanthropy, but also to the overall vision of the hospital for excellence for the Coachella Valley. We invested in a whole mobile clinic. One of the things we do is we staff it with our resident physicians, and we take that clinic down to underpasses, down to migrant workers, down to mostly the East Valley to provide vaccinations and health care for those that, frankly, don't have the ability to even get transportation to get health care. So we're probably going to double the size of that, and that's something that, by the way, that Monica innovated and has driven forward. And so we're believing that we're able to, if you will, encompass the whole valley. That's part of our vision. Two things. One, I could go through each one of these, but time's of essence, and U.S. News and World Report has gifted us with, if you will, by virtue of the way they evaluate standards of quality, #1 in the Inland Empire. I think we're tied with Loma Linda, but we're #1 in cardiovascular services, orthopedic services, and of course the Inland Empire encompasses San Bernardino as well as Riverside County, probably the largest geographic area in California. So we're very proud of that. We also just received our 3rd magnet designation. Magnet means that is the highest honor you can receive for nursing care in hospitals. Only 8% of hospitals throughout the United States, and there's 6,000 hospitals in the U.S., only 8% are magnet hospitals for nursing. And I could go into what that really means, but truly what it means is that nurses are part of decision making and at the executive level, and also are, if you will, the standards for our nurses are that you will become a BSN. So our goal is every single nurse at Eisenhower becomes a BSN. So we scholarship nurses, we do everything we can, if you will, to continue to educate those nurses. So when those COD nurses graduate, we actually are very supportive of them getting their BSN, 2 more years of education in order to continue working at Eisenhower. We talked about excellence. We know that we have, and I'm going to come to volumes here in a minute, that we have challenges with regard to the emergency department. We've done 2 things this year to help overcome some of the delays, many of the delays that we see in the emergency department, which is important. One, we've become a trauma center. So we're a trauma center 4 now, and you go down for levels of trauma. We're going to become a trauma level 3, we think, in the next year and a half. You've got to have trauma surgeons on call for that. So we just received a donation from Jan Salta, thank goodness, to be able to build the bottom floor of the Salta building and create space for our trauma surgeons before we recruit them. So the recruiting is ongoing. We believe next year we'll be able to do that and receive certification to become trauma 3. And then, of course, we're on our way to trauma 2, which means you've got to have essentially a brain surgeon, neurosurgeon on call 365, 24/7. This is a very expensive endeavor. Desert does it very well, Desert Regional. Trauma is a specialty of theirs, but we need to be as well. So then the center of the valley will be able to care for those patients that have issues and give them confidence, and you all and your residents confidence that you can go to Eisenhower for trauma. So the second large thing, other than adding trauma, is we added 10 new rooms in the emergency department. And actually, let me add a third. We just became licensed for 26 new beds in the hospital. One of the issues with emergency care is that you get backed up and there's no space in the hospital, in the inn. So, but now that flow through can start happening a little bit faster to get into the hospital. So we've done those things. They were all expensive, but we were able to push that through. And I think we're going to see changes. I believe we're going to see real changes in the speed of that care. So look at some of the numbers. Inpatient days have just the volumes of what we're serving have gone up tremendously. inpatient days are almost 80,000, but I want to show you the days in the ER visits. So we have over 95,000 ER visits in 24. We're on the path right now to have over 100,000 ER visits. And one of the ways I explain that is that I believe that it's truly the brand and the excellence of Eisenhower that is attracting people. I don't mean this to be derogatory about any other healthcare organization, but when people experience Eisenhower and the way in which we care for people as well as the excellence that they receive, they want it again. And if 8% of our patients we found in 2024 came from Indio. So the more we start treating those that are coming from the East Valley as well as North Palm Springs, as well in our ER, the more families start to want to attach back to Eisenhower once again. And we're seeing that over and over. And so the brand is responsible for its success in this way. And we have to live up to the expectations that we're going to be able to serve them and not have to wait for 10 hours in the ER. And I know that this is an issue, but we're really focusing on it. I'd say it's one of our top 3 issues that we're dealing with.
So, Michael, if I could just add something.
Thank you.
Because we have talked about that topic before in this chamber, and it's backed up by a study that was done by the Desert Healthcare District.
Yes.
And so that study polled Valley residents, and one of those polling questions was, if you could pick anywhere for a non-life-threatening issue, what hospital would you go to? And so it listed the Valley locations, right? So Eisenhower, Desert, JFK, and then somewhere else. And that study said, according to their poll that the Desert Healthcare District did, a little over 75% of the time, they were picking Eisenhower, right? And so I know sometimes when we hear about this at the city about, oh man, the emergency room is such a long wait. Well, yes, because you're a victim of your own success, right? When people are going to an emergency room, typically they are driving themselves there. Not always, sometimes it's by ambulance, but most of the time they have a choice. And that study by the Desert Healthcare District said 75% of the time they're picking your hospital. What was also interesting about that study is somewhere else scored higher than the 2 Tenet facilities.
Oh my gosh.
So Desert and JFK were lower than just somewhere else. So, part of the problem, if you want to call it a problem with the wait times, is Eisenhower is carrying, its undue burden in the Valley because of the quality care that you guys provide. And that's been backed up by an independent study done by the Desert Healthcare District. So I thought that was always an interesting result. And when we get somebody that's expressing maybe some concerns about your wait times, ultimately you're a victim of your own success when it comes to that regard, because people are overwhelmingly picking your facility over somewhere else.
Thank you. Thank you, Isaiah, for that. And that's probably the most positive thing I've heard from the Desert Healthcare District in a while.
Because it came from the public and not from them.
I know, as a survey. Thank you. Well, you can see as we continue, again, not just ER visits, but ER represents almost 50% of the way in which we create new relationships. And our clinic office visits have gone up beyond 665,000. It's just amazing. Orthopedics does 116,000 visits a year. It just goes on. I can tell you it's amazing. So excellence in, I'm going to take a bit from everything so that we can keep going quickly, but we've just learned, I was just with Marty the other day, and we learned that Eisenhower has more robotic surgery machines in a variety of different areas of the hospital than any other hospital in Southern California. And it's not because we wanted to win some sort of award for doing that. It's because robotics has allowed us to, and our surgeons and our teams, to actually be able to serve the patient, I think, at a higher level, not always, but at a higher level of care. You have less need to stay in the hospital. So, for instance, if we do a hysterectomy and we do it robotically, we've found, with the right surgeons, and they have to be trained well, but that a patient, a woman could stay in the hospital overnight, one night, not 3 nights, because you were able to cauterize so quickly with that robot. You were able to stop the bleeding so quickly, and you were able to also be able to perform the procedures quicker. The person's under anesthesia less time. All of those things make a difference. And so these things are, we think, critical to the outcomes, the quality of care that we provide. And you can be proud that Eisenhower really is on the cutting edge. Our economic impact, we will share a little bit more of that with you, but we hired a Claremont professor to provide us with the economic impact report for Eisenhower. It is considered the largest single economic impactor in the Coachella Valley. We didn't know that because we don't really, do PR that way where we pat ourselves on the back for these things. But Eisenhower actually is one of the highest percentages in Southern California if you were to compare any single business impact on an area, geographic area that has a GRP, a gross regional product. Eisenhower is the highest in the Coachella Valley compared to, for instance, what USC would be doing in LA, or what there is hardly a comparison that you can come to that shows you this large impact this hospital had. To put it in perspective, the professor said, if you were to take away all of the economic impact of all of the hotels in the Coachella Valley, take it away, Eisenhower would exceed it, would exceed every single economic, it would exceed every economic driver that came from those hotels. So that's how big we are. Let me get to the final wrap up as we go. We're on a phase 1 of our campaign, and the city of Rancho Mirage and the city council and the residents were so supportive to be able to provide us with support for our cardiovascular institute and our cardiovascular center of excellence. And just to give you an update on that campaign, we have raised, now it's not 39.8, it's actually 32 to go. We've raised $247 million. And we just received a $7 million commitment yesterday. And so we can see the light of the finishing on phase 1. And I'm going to show you what your monies have gone to support. This Cardiovascular Institute is on the left side, and we intend it to be finished at the end of 26. That's where all your cardiovascular physicians, all your surgeons, all your heart-related care will be in one building, almost like a Mayo Clinic now. And it's in the new center of the campus. You all know where it is, but others will show you. And it's across from the orthopedic building. It's the new heart of the campus. And that we intend to be able to, if you will, rival the large Cleveland Clinics of the world. And so we actually are on a pathway to be top 10 in cardiovascular in the United States, with not only this outpatient facility, but I'll show you the inpatient as well. So this specialty clinics building will go up and start several years from now and won't be done until 2029. But this will keep going. So this is called overall the Washington Family Center. The Cardiovascular Institute is the one on the left. And as you can see some of the numbers, it's going to be 82,000 square feet. We'll have 100 exam rooms. We have already recruited what we think are 15, and it's all verbal, 15 new cardiologists who've seen what we're doing. They want to practice down here. They see the level of care that we provide, which is cutting edge in heart, and they're excited about coming. So once this building's done, we think we're going to start being able to fill it. This is the building, and this is in the middle of the campus. So any of your residents that come to campus, this is what it is. This is what's going up, is the Cardiovascular Institute building, and your city had a portion of that steel. They have helped invest in this. So we want to thank everyone for that, and thank you all for allowing us to do this. This is 4 stories, 82,000 square feet, and we just finished putting the main beam in And we had the Washingtons, who are the primary underwriters of philanthropy. They've committed $32 million to this project. And they came out and signed it. And a funny thing, I'll just tell you, and then I'll keep going, but I'm almost done, is Dennis Washington, I was just told, I was given 24-hour notice that we had a beam signing available and we need to do it now. The steelworkers need to put it up. And Dennis happened to be checking out of the hospital. And I said, Dennis, could you put your sweats on and come over to the beam sign? And he made his way over. So the tradition is that the steelworkers make this the final beam. They screw it in, and then we have a flag on the left side and a spruce tree on the right for luck, so there are no injuries. And then they shimmy across. That's 4 stories up, and they stand there and shake hands, and that's the tradition. So we also have, keep going on the projects. We have a memory care center that we're building off of Country Club, as well as the child care center. That's in action right now. We intend to be complete by the end of 26. The memory care center is going to be able to house, we hope, up to 200 people that have memory disorders. Day care, not overnight. But it's also a respite for the spouse and the loved ones that are caring for those. And it is going to be truly a tremendous asset, we think, to the quality of life in the Valley and certainly Rancho Mirage. And then our memory care will be located next to child care, which is a real stimulant for both those that are in the memory care side, but also the children. And we're going to have programs because research actually indicates that it is a great stimulus for both. And that's going to be for Eisenhower physicians and children, and not the physicians themselves, as well as for our employees, of which we have almost 5,000 employees, and their children. And we think this is something that is critical to be added to the Coachella Valley. We have a real need for childcare. And then the final couple of projects that are part of that campaign, we start this in May. Actually, at the end of this month, we're starting the cardiovascular pavilion, 35,000 square feet of internal inside the hospital. We're redoing all cardiovascular equipment, and we're tearing down walls, rebuilding with brand new equipment. This is an example of what we call a hybrid suite, where you can do both procedures but open heart surgery, both in the same room. And these are the docs that make that happen. So the cardiovascular and cardiovascular docs, but also surgeons. We just finished the Paula Hurd Cancer Pavilion extension. And if you are at Eisenhower, you're at the cancer center, the Lucy George Cancer Center, you should go upstairs, the second floor, and take a look at this. It's amazing what we did. It was transformed. Some of you know what it is, but it was transformed and expanded into a true breast center that was frankly just a patio that was out on the set. So we put a roof over it, and really has worked out well for us to be able to expand our volume. And we're in the midst of needing to expand the cancer center. We finished the Ranker Wellness Center, which is cardiopulmonary wellness for those that need to stay in shape. And we're expanding our inpatient pharmacy, which we haven't done in 25 years. As volumes have gone up, they're still in the same closet. So we're expanding. We have 2 robots that will be like this, that pull the medications automatically, and then we send them up to each of the rooms. The final is that to finish all of this, it will be more expensive. It's not really tariffs as much as it is just overall 3 years of preparing and then doing. Prices have risen, and we'll probably be raising an additional $78 million to finish everything. And at the end of it all, we will have raised $350 million really to do this. And the city's been, in its own way, part of that whole thing, not just for support, but also being able to view these things and be able to give us great direction and vision. And so we appreciate all you do for us. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
Michael, thank you so much.
Yes.
I can't begin to tell you how proud we are to have Eisenhower Health located in the city of Rancho Mirage. We, for a fact, are every day meet people that acknowledge that they moved to Rancho Mirage specifically to be close to Eisenhower Health. And, frankly, that's rewarding. It's rewarding for you. It's rewarding for us. But it makes us that much more proud. And obviously, Eisenhower being such a major ingredient for the success of our city. And our job now, along with yours, is to continue to develop affordable housing so that we can provide housing for your staff to live and work in the area. And that's what we work hard at every single day. So it's a team effort between, Eisenhower, the city of Rancho Mirage, and we're very proud of it. And thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Feelings mutual. Thank you.
Okay. The next presentation we have is for Fire Hazard Severity Zones presentation. I will ask Deputy Fire Marshal Hedrick and Division Chief Beverlin if they would please join us and bring us up to date on obviously a timely and important subject.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Council. Great to see you again. Thanks for having us. Mike Beverlin, Fire Chief for the city. Before the Deputy Fire Marshal gives his presentation on a very important subject, I thought I'd give a quick, proper introduction for him. His name is Cole Hetrick. He has 20 years experience in public safety. The last 11 of those have been in the office of the Fire Marshal. He's worked in the city of Coachella out of the East Operational Office, and most recently in the city of Riverside at the headquarters for the Fire Marshal's office. He brings a tremendous amount of knowledge, skills, and abilities. He's in a leadership position now, and so he's been a great member of the team, and unfortunately for him, he's come in, promoted into a time when legislation's giving him a bunch of work. So I'll introduce him, he'll do his presentation, and I'll have some closing remarks. So Cole, come on up, introduce yourself, and continue with your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Beverlin. Distinguished members of the council, city staff, it's my pleasure to be here to join you in this new role and responsibility. I'm filling in behind the retirement vacancy of Deputy Fire Marshal Sonia Cooley, who you might know very well over many years of service here in the Valley, and I hope I can have just as long as tenure as she had. So I look forward to that. And as Chief Beverlin mentioned, we've got a busy period of time right now. You're one of 6 cities I get to help through this process that we're legislatively required to do. So to kind of start into that presentation, we're going to talk about what this is that we're exactly considering. We were part of Phase 4 here in Riverside County, March 24th, when the State Fire Marshal released and published their proposed maps for the fire hazard severity zones. So it should be displayed on your screens there, specifically for the local responsibility areas. So the state has their state responsibility areas, but here in the incorporated cities, they're considered local responsibilities. Legislatively, through the many challenges the state has had with wildland fires, the legislation identified that the State Fire Marshal would be tasked with identifying specifically what areas, even local jurisdictions, that would have to be mapped for various ranges of fire hazard severity zones. So dealing with those, that's where we received that on March 24th. To kind of break this down a little bit, the State Fire Marshal utilized various methods and methodology and studies to identify be it from embercast models, field loading, prevailing winds, and other elements to identify target relatively hazards as far as potential risk for that. And so these updates impact our areas, and it doesn't take into account as far as local resources or local responses or preventive measures, defensible space. It's purely just from a modeling of there's fuel, there's structures, how can they connect, and the potential risk in that. So As we carry into that, this is the map that was published specifically for the Rancho Mirage city. And you'll see that there is a single highlighted color of moderate hazard yellow. So the benefit for Rancho Mirage, and I'll say benefit tongue-in-cheek on that as far as other communities here in the Coachella Valley include high fire hazard severity zones. Thankfully, Rancho Mirage just has moderate. About 4,600 acres were added to the city limits for the moderate fire hazard severity zones. We can tell that a majority of it is definitely within our foothills and hillsides regions and that come up to within the subdivision regions along the southwest portion of Highway 111 there. There's a PDF map that's available on the city's website. We worked with city staff to create a web page to view this PDF map, but it also gives you a link to the county fire marshal's web page for the GIS map, where you can actually put in a parcel number, put in an address, and it'll pin drop you right to where it's at, and you can kind of correlate to if you're in one of those zones. So I encourage you to check that out, take those assessments to really see where those potential hazards are. So according to Government Code Section 51179B3, these are the mandates that we have before us. And so we've, working with city staff, we've already met the first bullet point there, identifying, that we have to make these elements available. The restriction is that we cannot decrease these. We can't reduce the map area, we can't reduce the classification, we can only increase. Well, Riverside County Fire Department, as your fire department, has determined that there is no need nor desire to propose any modifications or increases to that here within the city of Rancho Mirage, and really throughout the county jurisdictions. Some jurisdictions are kind of exploring for whatever particular reason why they might want to make some increases, but we'll handle those on an individual basis. So per state law, we're identified that within 30 days of that March 24th, we'd had to make these maps available for public review and comment. So that's been done here at the local level as well as at the county. And so our next venture is to go through the appropriate legal process to draft an ordinance, propose it to hear the council, first reading and a second reading, and then have it adopted by within 120 days. So by July 22nd, we have to have that adopted and then forwarded up to the state for their documentation as well. Any questions at this point?
No, certainly timing is accurate because of what we've gone through in the last 6 months. Fire hazards is on the mind of all of us. Yeah. So the timing couldn't be, more critical. Yeah. And so we thank you for, initiating this, taking the lead, and most importantly, keeping us and our constituents informed.
Yeah. So if it's all right, I'll continue in the slide presentation as far as some of the additional details to see what that actual impact is to developers, homeowners, property owners, and so forth. So to kind of break this down, now keep in mind Rancho Mirage is going to be in that bottom category of moderate. As you notice there's only one task for us. It is simply to adopt the map. It's basically for an awareness. And ultimately, it's just for that knowledge and appreciation of potential hazards at some point in time. Obviously, depending on what type of weather systems we have, how much rain we get, we might get more or less vegetation growth in those hills and potential hazards for that. Should there have been any any development within those high zones would have been required to construct according to fire hazard severity zone standards, Chapter 7A in the building code, or residential code has another provision. Basically, it would increase the safety factor of the roofing material, ember screens on your attic and crawl space access points, appropriate type of glazing for your windows, and even non-combustible siding. It's not until you get to the very high categories that we talk about defensible space. So we don't really have to worry about that here necessarily, but it's certainly a good thought for our developers that maybe they can still consider it proactively. But we're not going to require it from a development standpoint because of the classification of only moderate. This is a little bit broader of a look to kind of look at the different requirements between the state responsibility and the local responsibility for all three categories. So focusing on the right-hand side of the kind of the gray bullet points between all that, you'll see that the local responsibility requirements are significantly less than what a state responsibility area mapped hazard zone of the same category would be. So that's just to kind of break it down so that in case there was any confusion, a developer having developed in the state responsibility area, even in moderate, we're like, well, I had to do all this in this project over here. Well, here in the local responsibility, being only moderate, you won't have to construct a Chapter 7A requirements. So those are potential benefits for our developers, but they could if they wanted. So these are just recommendations. Well, essentially, these are if they're in those zones, so very high, they would have to maintain defensible space. They would have to do some home hardening improvements. They would have to construct in accordance with those wildland urban interface building codes. And anytime that they were to sell their property, they would have to do a disclosure. They would have to get an inspection, possibly as well to identify if they're currently compliant with defensible space, and that would be part of the disclosure package. For the high category, it's a little bit less components. They don't have to do defensible space, but still meet the other requirements, including the disclosure. That would be state responsibility or local responsibility. So as we get into these, the WUI codes, something to recognize is that currently they're kind of scattered between the different building standards codes. You got the building code, Chapter 7A, you got the residential code, R337, you got a little portion in the fire code. January 1 of this next year, when we adopt the new code cycle every 3 years, there's going to be a designated wildland urban interface or WUI code that's going to put these all together, make it a little bit easier. But in general, it talks about the regulations to safeguard life and property, depending on those, whether it's from construction as well as defensible space, and how we can prevent the spread of fire from property to property. So these are, this sheet is really a good one to reference as far as recommendations. For those that are in the moderate, this is purely a recommendation. Consider some of these things proactively or even retroactively, maintaining the 30 feet of lean, clean, and green, or at least to your property line. You know, some of the regions that we have, they don't have large parcels up here, so they may not be able to get more than 5 or 10 feet of defensible space because it's their next door neighbor's property. But keeping things such as the roofs and gutters clear of debris, trim branches, dead wood, clear all that out. If they happen to have the ability to do 100 feet, further thin that out as well. And then zone 0, there's an asterisk on that. This is a legislation that is still pending adoption and implication for very high, where they would actually have 0 to 5 feet of an ember-resistant zone. Some mistakenly say it's a non-combustible zone, and in looking at the recommendations for that, it would be not having mulch, bark mulch, within that 5 feet, because embers can capture that. So utilizing gravel or pavers or other non-combustible type of ground cover within that space to eliminate it. If you have a fence or gate that's attached to your side yard, changing that out to a non-combustible ember-resistant type of gate or fencing system as well. Then it talks about home hardening. So probably the easiest, simplest thing to do, probably doesn't even cost that much, is to change out your attic screen vents. So at your roof lines, under your eaves, wherever it's at, replace the screen on it with a much smaller orifice, 1/8 inch orifice screen opening, because as our attics breathe, especially when it's windy and there's fire events going on, the likelihood of those embers being able to penetrate that screen, get into the combustible attic space and igniting your house from the attic is a lot less. And so those are the good recommendations for that. Talks about sealing entry points under eaves by boxing them in, as things can collect under there. Think of our birds like to make nests in some of those areas and stuff like that where they can get to. So sealing those off. And then we don't have a lot of chimneys out here, but considering spark arresters and other elements for that. Some questions that are common here. We kind of already went through some of these. Ultimately, question 3 there is kind of one good one to point out, that will existing homes, buildings be subject to upgrades or mitigations if their hazard severity zone is now more restrictive? For the specific specificity of the moderate category, no, there's no requirement. Should there have been high categories? It would be up to the building official to ultimately identify when they would want these to be done. But as it mentions, there are certain remodels, additions, or improvements. So any permitted activity, it may go under review by that building official to identify, hey, you're doing a re-roof. Guess what? You're going to need to do a higher classification of your re-roofing to comply if they're in a high or very high category. But we don't have that here. And similar for other elements that are going on. All righty. Let me step back one there. The fourth question there talks about what zone is enforced where property falls into two or more zones. We're going to follow suit and consider the worst case. So if there's a property that has that mapping that's splitting the parcel in some, not necessarily down to a percentage, but if any portion of it has two categories, we're going to go with the worst case. So if it's high, go with the high. If it's very high, go with the very high. Can cities and counties decide not to adopt the LRA maps? Unfortunately, they are required to adopt the maps as mandated by the Assembly bill, as they are, without any decreases. And so, but we can increase. And then there's some references here for that, talking about the expansions between a Senate bill, Assembly bills, and then additional information that's not only available on your city website now, but also at our county fire department website. That's all I have for that presentation. Any questions for me? Yes.
Can people, we're not in a high moderate, but if they were, could they ask the fire department to come out, walk their property, and help them identify ways to, or do they have to do that privately?
Yeah, so in the state responsibility area, CAL FIRE has the responsibility of doing what's called LE 100 defensible space inspections, and they would typically do that. They try to do it on an annual basis. In the local responsibility area, there's not a requirement for us to do that. Typically right now, the only proactive assistance that we provide is when they're doing a change of ownership if they're selling the property, because they need that as part of their disclosure package. But otherwise, a general outreach, if they wanted to, we can certainly arrange for that. It just comes down to availability to support that. But we can certainly become available as needs may arise, should that be a case.
And in looking at that map, I just recognized that my home is moderate. So do I have to make a disclosure? Because you'd said it about high and very high, but
You
I
do
didn't
not.
know.
As a moderate category, there is no disclosure required for a home sale.
Spoken like a true attorney.
May I ask a question?
Absolutely.
We're all familiar with how the state has been devastated by fires over the years, and of course that in turn has increased insurance rates, both on a residential and commercial level. With the adoption of this map, with the status of moderate, is that something that insurance companies would take a look at to help contribute to lowering risk, thereby lowering costs? Because that is significant. I'm a realtor during the day, and one of the biggest challenges is for home buyers to find insurance. So that's one. And then our business community, it's a large expense for them.
Yeah.
So with the adoption of this map, is this something that they could work with their respective insurance agencies, or we as a community can work with insurance companies to help lower costs and risk?
So it's a wonderful question. In a way, it's kind of a double-edged sword. So if we look at the frequently asked questions on the State Fire Marshal's website about these maps, it asks that question: are the insurance companies able to utilize this in a proactive or a negative way? And ultimately, it was communicated that no, they have no right to utilize this as a method to identify the risk for their insurability. And to the extent that they're supposed to utilize other metrics to actually identify true risk. This is just identifying a potential hazard. They use some legal languages to kind of reference that. Should an insurance possibly do that? It's quite possible. Ultimately, the clients of that insurance has access to raise complaints with the California State Insurance Board as far as if there was any clear designation that they utilize that. But kind of going into the next presentation that Chief Beverland is going to talk about, the city has made vast improvements to articulate that insurance companies should feel more comfortable about Rancho Mirage and other communities that even if they have these designations, because we've collectively developed such a robust response system, as well as other proactive measures, preventative measures, that it should not be a factor for insurabilities.
Terrific.
Mr.
Chief,
Mayor,
are you going to talk about the ISO plan?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool.
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
two questions. First, it looks like we're in fairly good shape in the city of Rancho Mirage. The moderate areas are the areas south of Highway 111. So a good portion of the city is in a less than moderate zone. So I guess that's something that we should be happy about. The question, though, is in moderate zones, one of the issues was compliance with something about 7A. What does that mean? What does it mean for those residents in 7A? What do they specifically need to comply with?
Yeah, so if this was a moderate category in a state responsibility mapped area, they would have to comply with construction standards identified in the California Building Code Chapter 7A. It talks about the roofing material, talks about the exterior siding, ember screens, decking material, and other stuff like that. Being that this is in the local responsibility area with moderate, there's no compliance required for 7A or any other type of standards. It's essentially just awareness.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much for the presentation.
I want to bring up, no, my pleasure, and then we'll bring it back up, Chief Beverly.
Thanks, Cole. Great job. So that was kind of the wildland portion of the presentation to comply with the legislation, to update the full council and staff, as long as the commercial business owners and residents. Over the last 2 years, we've been kind of being assessed by the Insurance Service Office. And what that company does is they come out and evaluate the community for its fire protection services for structure fires. Doesn't include a lot of the wildland things that you just had a presentation about. So with the leadership of you all, your direction, your guidance, your support, along with the city manager and his staff, in conjunction with our partners in Palm Desert and Indian Wells, our fire public protection classification has improved from a 3x to a 2x. And that sounds complicated, but it's not really that complicated. What it means is that we have they evaluated the fire department response model, they evaluated the dispatch center, and they evaluated the water system for all three cities. And cumulatively together, we are in really good shape. So I think the last assessment that we had was 2016 or 18, I think. COVID kind of got them off cycle a little bit. Usually, I think we get these ratings in studies about every 4 to 6 years, depending on the cycle. So what that means to us is that we are in really good shape. If you look across the nation, in 2023, there were about 38,000 fire departments that were studied. If we add in the updated model that'll take effect June 1st, we are in the top 6.5% of all cities nationwide with our fire protection classification. So with that being said, we're in good shape. We have a meeting scheduled for July with the V-Risk representative for ISO to kind of go over the data and make sure that we validate everything. The score that we got is not as high as I was anticipating. Even though we did get an improvement, I thought it would be a little bit higher. So I'm going to make them validate all of the things that they got from us to make sure that we're getting the absolute max point value. And I would anticipate that, maybe in 4 to 6 years, we might have an avenue to be able to get to a class 1 fire department, which there are very few. I think nationwide right now, there's less than 500 total. So with that being said, just thank you for all of your support. We wouldn't be able to do any of these things without the guidance from the council and the wonderful city staff that can consistently just help us out in every way possible. And in our partnerships with the other cities, we delivered this message to the Cove Commission earlier this month, and without a combined effort, we definitely wouldn't be where we're at today. So thank you for your support, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, thank you, Chief. Indeed, it is a partnership, without a doubt. I had the pleasure of hearing your presentation at the Cove meeting several weeks ago, and it's great that you're not satisfied with the existing rating, that you're going to be working hard to try to even improve that. So that gives us, a great deal of encouragement. So thank you for everything you do.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, we now go to something a little lighter, and that's the recognition of Holly Kenley, Mrs. Senior California 2025. Holly, you might want to come up to the podium, and I'll make a couple comments, and I'll meet you there in a moment. But Holly was born in Ely, Nevada, a graduate of the University of California at Santa Barbara. She has a bachelor's degree in French and music. She has pursued a career in teaching and twice was voted Teacher of the Year within the Desert Sands Unified School District. She received high honors at Chapman University, earning a master's degree in psychology. In addition, she has spent 30 years as a marriage and family therapist and has authored 11 recovery books. Amazing. Holly has advanced her work in the field of psychology as a seasoned speaker. She's been 6 times presenter at the California Association of Marriage and Family Therapists. I had the honor of meeting Holly briefly before this meeting. She's the second recipient from Rancho Mirage to receive the Mrs. Senior California Pageant Queen honors, and we concluded that it must be the water that has enabled her to achieve this high mark. So, Holly, thank you, and I'll join you in a moment.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Weil.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Likewise. Come over here, Holly. So this certificate of recognition, I'll make sure that we get a good picture of you, not me, but this certificate of recognition is presented to Holly Kenley, Mrs. Senior California 2025. On behalf of the entire City Council of the City of Rancho Mirage, I hereby recognize Holly Kenley, the 2025 Mrs. Senior California Pageant Queen, and shining example of the dignity, maturity, and inner beauty of all senior Americans. And I can certainly identify with the senior part. Holly, thank you very much, and congratulations.
Thank you, Mayor Weil. I had prepared some remarks, if you would like me to share those.
Absolutely.
Okay. And thank you so much for this honor.
It's our pleasure.
Okay, thank you.
Want me to hold this for you?
Yes, and I was going to stand over here. Yeah.
Okay. You can speak right there if you like.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor Weil, City Council members, city staff, for inviting me here today. It is an honor. Last weekend, I opened up this beautiful book, Rancho Mirage at 50. Although I had perused it shortly after its arrival, I took the time to read it cover to cover. Wow, what an extraordinary city we live in. After moving to Rancho Mirage almost 7 years ago, I knew of some of its history, but I wasn't fully aware of how this city contributes to our quality of life with its focus on 4 areas: luxury, community, recreation, and conservation. Although longtime residents are aware of the wonders of Rancho Mirage, I would like to highlight a few that stand out to me. First, Rancho Mirage is known for Restaurant Row, which provides some of the most delicious dining in the desert. 2 of my personal favorites, Wally's Desert Turtle and Las Consuelas Nuevas. Rancho Mirage serves as a resort and recreation destination with stunning properties such as the Ritz-Carlton, Omni Rancho Las Palmas, Agua Caliente Resort and Casino, and so many others. Rancho Mirage is a leader in community building with exceptional attractions and events such as Sunnyland Center and Gardens, Rancho Mirage Library and Observatory, Rancho Mirage Festival of the Arts, and a plethora of golf and tennis tournaments, just to name a few. Rancho Mirage's multifunctional parks and commemorative sites such as the Veterans Recognition Wall and the Block Cancer Survivor Park offer residents and visitors meaningful places to gather and to connect. Lastly, Rancho Mirage's outreach to the community is extremely impressive, not only in the area of environment, such as protecting bighorn sheep, but also prioritizing the health and well-being of its population with the expansive state-of-the-art facilities such as Eisenhower Health and Hazelton Betty Ford Center. Yes, this city is remarkable, and I could go on and on. On a personal level, I'll just add that for over 6 years, I maintained a marriage and family therapy private practice here in Rancho Mirage. Every interaction I had with City Hall regarding my business license or office inspections was incredibly polite, professional, and positive. Thank you. And when I'm out walking in my Del Webb Rancho Mirage community, I am witness to the joy, connection, and sense of belonging when seniors are out swimming, exercising, playing pickleball, or gathering at the clubhouse engaged in all kinds of shenanigans. I am so fortunate to be a resident of Rancho Mirage with its, quote, elegance, innovation, and allure. And I'm proud to serve as Miss Senior California 2025. It's no coincidence that our pageant's motto is the age of elegance, where we strive to represent the dignity, maturity, and inner beauty of all seniors. For we believe seniors are the foundation of America and our most valuable treasure. In October, I'll be competing at the Miss Senior America pageant in Atlantic City, New Jersey. I'll give it my best shot. Thank you again, Mayor Weil, and City Council members, city staff, for your invitation and your warm welcome. Thank you.
And we wish you luck in Atlantic City.
Thank you so much.
Be well. Thank you.
Thank you.
While we're waiting for the mayor to come back up, Holly, while the mayor was reading your list of accomplishments, I couldn't help wondering what have I been doing with my time. So congratulations, and congratulations on winning Mrs. Senior California. As you mentioned, as the mayor mentioned, the second year in a row that the winner comes from the city of Rancho Mirage. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, we're very proud of Holly. We will now go to the council member comments. I will start on my...
Mayor, we do have a request for public comment on this, so if you'd like to do that now.
Okay.
Brad Anderson.
Hello, Brad Anderson, City of Rancho Mirage. I'm sorely disappointed, not in the presentations, but I've requested before to give public comments after your council comments and reports. And both times, this will be the third time, I've been denied that opportunity, and I really don't understand why. It's like the presentations. How could I possibly give a comment before the presentation? So I'm disappointed that this is happening, and I will continue to do this until you allow me to speak. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
That was the only comment.
We have others or no?
There's no other public comments, so you can move.
Okay. We'll go to council member comments. I'll start on my left. And Council Member Reeve from Edelstein.
I do not have to disclose that I'm in the moderate fire zone. I just want to make that public again. Otherwise, I have no comments at this time.
Council Member O'Keefe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No comments today.
Council Member Downs.
I have a couple things. I'm sorry. A couple things I wanted to talk about today, Mr. Mayor. So first has to do with the CV link. And the reason I wanted to talk about it today is because it's been in the news recently. Some of the last segments of the current version of the link are being completed. And so it's been commented on in the paper and in social media. I do want to remind the residents of the city of Rancho Mirage the reason why the CV link does not run through our city or through the city of Indian Wells. The reason is that the residents of this city voted on it. So in April of 2016, it was on the ballot in the city of Rancho Mirage, and 75 to 80% of the residents of this city voted that the CV link would not run through this city. Now, the reason, certainly there were some concerns about public funds being spent for this kind of road use, but the biggest concern for this city was the route. The route of the CV link ran through the business community, and it ran in front of some of our major residential areas. And the business community and those members of those residents of those residential areas were opposed to the location of the CV link. The city did offer alternative routes, and those alternative routes were turned down. And as a result, the voters in this city voted between 75 and 80% that the CV link would not run through this city. Now, here's one other important issue. So this council sometimes gets criticized by some that we should reconsider this issue. We can't. And the reason we can't is because the other issue that was decided by the voters is that if the city of Rancho Mirage ever decides that it wishes to participate in the CV link, it's got to be done by the voters in this city. So the voters are in control, not this council. So I wanted to make sure that everybody, every resident of the city is aware as to why we do not participate and the reason why and what has to be done in order to participate if the residents of the city want to do so in the future. The other thing that I wanted to talk about today is a few comments about affordable housing. Now, the reason that I want to talk about it today is because in recent days we did have a visit from one of our affordable housing partners who had some things to talk to the city council about. And I just wanted to remind this city the important strides that we've made over the course of the last year or so. Now, why is it important for us to engage in affordable housing? One is an economic reason. It's important to make sure that there is an employee base for some of our larger employers, like Eisenhower Medical Center, which is this city's and this valley's largest employer. It's also the case that providing affordable housing, a good, solid roof over our residents' heads, it's simply the right thing to do. And here's the progress that we've made over the last year or so. There are 4 projects on 2 city-owned parcels that we have approved. There is one more parcel that is being developed by a private developer. So these 5 projects will represent about 850 of the 1,100 or so income-restricted dwelling units that the state of California requires that we produce, or that we entitle, rather. That's almost 80% of our goal. And all of this has been done in the first 2 years of our current 8-year housing element, the housing element portion of our general plan. So I wanted to make sure that we had an opportunity to remind the residents of this city all of the accomplishments that we have achieved in affordable housing over the last year or so. And I hope that a couple of folks from Lift to Rise who have made comments about this city are listening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Downs. Mayor Pro Tem Mulatto.
No comments at this time. Thank you.
I will, Councilmember Downs, I'm going to hitchhike onto your comments as it relates to the CV link. And that has to do with our boost for bicycle safety, something that we're always very conscious of in the city of Rancho Mirage. And I'm excited to share an update with our vibrant cycling community here in Rancho Mirage. As we recognize National Bike Safety Month this May, the city is making meaningful progress on 3 major construction projects designed to improve bicycle safety throughout our streets. These efforts include upgrading existing bike lanes and improving signage to create safer, more accessible routes for all riders. It's all part of Rancho Mirage's continuing commitment to sustainable transportation and the well-being of our residents and visitors alike. Following is a brief update from the city's project manager with more details on these initiatives. And if you would run the video, please.
Here in Rancho Mirage, we have a pretty large community of bicyclists, and we like to keep them happy.
With palm tree-lined streets and a stunning mountain backdrop, bicycling in the valley can be an amazing experience. But for some cyclists, it also comes with serious safety concerns.
I've had a friend of mine was killed by a car riding out there in the bike lanes in the street.
That's why the city of Rancho Mirage is stepping up and taking action to improve bike safety.
We're sensitive to the fact that bicycles and vehicles sometimes get a little close together. We want to keep them safe.
Rancho Mirage project manager Charlie Nesbitt says 3 construction projects are planned across the city, all aimed at making the roads safer for cyclists.
One is right here along Duval Road. We have the access ramp here and new striping along Duval all the way down to Frank Sinatra. And then also coming down Bob Hope southbound, we'll be doing striping and curb modifications to add more access, as that is a busy access. And then also, thirdly, Frank Sinatra running eastbound.
These projects are expected to be completed this summer, offering riders improved safety and greater peace of mind.
Seems like you're upgrading all the time and money well spent. Anything you can do for pedestrian or bike is great.
And again, I think it shows the degree of our dedication. As Steve said, the CB link made no sense as far as our city was concerned based upon the imposition it would make upon our residents and commercial areas. But the bike safety progress we're making is critical and paramount, and that's foremost in our minds at all times. With that, that concludes our council comments and council member comments. And I'll ask the city manager for any comments that he might have, and then we can go directly into the consent calendar.
No comments today, Mr. Mayor, so I will go right to the consent calendar. The council has 4 items on the consent calendar for consideration. Item 5A is to approve the April 17th, 2025 regular meeting minutes. Item 5B is to receive and file the March 31st, 2025 quarterly treasurer's report. Item 5C are to approve the contracts, and 5D are to approve the demands. Before we go to council comments or questions, I'll ask the city clerk to take any public comment.
Brad Anderson.
Thank you again, Brad Anderson. I currently live within the city of Rancho Mirage. I wanted to speak on item 5, which is the consent calendar today. Items number 5A, which is the minutes, 5C, contracts, and 5D, demands. I have submitted written comments for everything I'll be speaking on today, including item 3. You changed the agenda on me. So, according Item 5A is the minutes, and I've voiced my concern several times of the minutes not being accurate, meaning that my stance on certain items, even when I speak on the consent items today, it's not reflecting the consent item that I'm speaking on. It's just general information concerning the calendar itself, and no stance is taken. I'm in opposition to all of it, by the way. And this is only a council meeting, but we have subcommittee meetings too, which are just recorded audio. And those are not kept, I understand, from the city. And legally, they're not supposed to be kept over 30 days, I believe. The legal counsel can chime in on that. So for the city to approve those type of minutes just off the audio recording and then have no other backup information to rely on, that's really not... I guess, good governance. And that's what I'm afraid of. The city has taken radical actions to silence public speakers, mainly public comments from the residents of the city or guests to the city. And it's not okay. I mean, stuff like that, even today, I mean, I'm not going to sidetrack too much, but you change the agenda so non-agenda public comments at the end of the meeting. There's no explanation for that, but I'll bring that up in my non-agenda public comments. Concerning contracts, I've submitted comments. I won't keep time. I don't have a time clock here, by the way. It might be on the big screen. Yeah, it is. And item 5 demands, again, I've written some comments, submitted them, and my concerns on, I brought up some items, but mainly that it's had repeated demands from the prior city council meeting. So I believe those were already approved by the councilors. So that's either an oversight or intentionally done. I don't know why you would intentionally do it, but that's something that needs to be corrected. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak on the consent calendar? That was the only speaker.
Are there any council comments regarding the consent calendar?
I have no comments. If there are, I'm sorry, did you? No. If there are no other comments, I move to approve the consent calendar.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Please vote.
You have to.
Motion carries 5-0.
Great. Okay, we'll go to the action calendar. The first is the intention to annex territory comprising of 10.12 acres to Community Facilities District Number 1. Jacob De La Cruz, our financial analyst. Jacob, if you would, please.
Thank you, Mayor, and good afternoon, Council. This item is the first step in the city's annexation process for developments within the city's jurisdiction. The second and final step is planned to be considered at the June 5th council meeting. The territory proposed for annexation is located on the east side of Vista del Sol, just east of the Betty Ford Center and west of Vista Dunes Road. It is comprised of 2 parcels totaling approximately 10.12 acres, and the project is slated to subdivide the parcels into 8 residential lots. Tentative tract map 38222 was originally approved by the Planning Commission on April 27, 2023. Condition of approval number 23 for the project requires the territory be annexed into CFD1. In accordance with the condition of approval, the owner of the annexed territory submitted a petition for annexation requesting that the City Council initiate proceedings to annex the territory into CFD1 and provide for expedited approval of the annexation and the levy of the special tax. Upon approval of the resolution, the City will be able to accept the petition for annexation, consent to the levy upon the territory, allow for the shortening of the time for the special election and expedite the annexation, accept and preliminarily approve the annexation map and direct City Clerk to record the map, and finally establish the date and time of the public hearing for the annexation of the territory. That concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Jacob. Are there any public comments?
I did not receive any speaker cards for this item. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak on 6A? No speakers.
Thank you. Are there any council comments regarding item 6A? If there are none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion. Move to adopt resolution number 2025 next in order, declaring the city's intention to annex territory to Community Facilities District Number 1 and to levy a special tax therein for additional Police and Fire Services preliminarily approve a map of the area proposed to be annexed and schedule a public hearing to consider the annexation and the levy of the special tax for annexation number 197.
There's a motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. The next item will be item 6B, the fiscal year 2025-2026 rent levels for the Housing Authority residential complexes. Marcus Aliman, Housing Manager. Marcus, take it away.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, Chair Weil, Housing Authority Board, and staff. The City of Rancho Mirage's Housing Authority owns and maintains 4 age-restricted affordable housing properties. Those properties are Parkview Villas, Whispering Waters, Santa Rosa Villas, and San Jacinto Villas, totaling 226 units. The city contracts with tighter property management professionals to oversee the daily on-site operations. Each household's rent is established using the affordable housing formula, which is simply to calculate 30% of the household's total prior annual gross income. Per U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development Affordable Housing Guidelines, a rent recertification review is conducted annually to establish the new rent rates for the following year and to confirm the resident's eligibility for affordable housing. Eligibility is determined using the state income limits established by the Department of Housing and Community Development for Riverside County as a benefit to the residents of Rancho Mirage's Housing Authority properties. In 2003, City Council approved a prescription rent credit program that covers out-of-pocket medical expenses for the prior year for which the household receives no reimbursement. Prescription rent credits are applied to the upcoming fiscal year and are capped at $100 per month per household. Staff recommends that the Housing Authority Board approve fiscal year 2025-2026 rent levels for Parkview Villas, San Jacinto Villas, Santa Rosa Villas, and Whispering Waters age-restricted residential complexes. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Marcus. Are there any public comments?
I did not receive any speaker cards. Is there anyone who would like to speak on 6B? No speakers.
Thank you. Anybody that's ever visited any of our housing properties would be very proud. They are just outstanding. And, we're very pleased to be able to provide those. Are there any council comments?
This is just to compliment our housing manager's efforts along with our planning director. Your presentations were wonderful, and they were clear, they were concise. You presented a tremendous amount of patience and compassion for our seniors who had some very concerning questions, especially with the changes, potential changes that could be coming from Washington. And I appreciate all of your efforts and your kindness and your coming from contribution. Thank you very, very much.
Good comments. Any other comments?
Mayor, if I could just ask one thing of Marcus before you guys potentially vote on this item. What's the current wait list and approximate wait time for our properties?
The current wait list is at above 5,000 people, and it's about a 5 to 7 year wait.
Thank you.
There's an indication of degree of satisfaction. If there are no other council comments, we have a motion.
I'll be happy to make the motion that the council approve the fiscal year 2025-2026, July 1, 2025 to June 30th, 2026 rent levels for Parkview Villas, San Jacinto Villas, Santa Rosa Villas, and Whispering Waters age-restricted residential complexes.
And I'll second.
There's a motion and second. Please vote.
Motion carries 5-0.
The next item on the agenda is the 6C Economic Development Strategic Plan Professional Services Agreement. Ryan Stendell, Assistant City Manager.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor, Council members, the item before you this afternoon is a recommendation from staff to enter into a professional services agreement with the Nadelson Dale Group Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $135,000 for the preparation of an economic development strategic plan on behalf of the City of Rancho Mirage. If I can get my PowerPoint up, there we go. Let me maximize mine. A little bit of background on how we got here. Staff prepared an informational report and had a discussion with the City Council in September of 2024. And the gist of that staff report was if we were to engage in an economic study, staff's recommendation was that we take a quick pause in recognition that there was a regional county level and a sub-regional Coachella Valley level study going on and funded by VGPS, focused completely on the Coachella Valley's economy. The recommendation included reasoning why, which was consultants are collecting a whole lot of background data on what's going on economically in the Coachella Valley that we would essentially be paying in duplicate for if we started at that point. The estimates from the consulting team and VGPS at the time was they were anticipating being done in January, February 2025. And while we're running slightly behind, staff from various departments have been participating in the stakeholder meetings and focus groups. We are far enough along in that program at this point where both marketing divisions, city manager's office, and the planning department believe we're at an opportune moment. If the council wishes to dive into the economic studies, we're there. We have the right background data. We're at the right time. Now would be an appropriate time to do so. So for those who might be curious, what does a city use an economic development plan for? An economic development plan on behalf of an agency is intended to first give you a snapshot of what's going on in your local economy. What are those things that the policymakers need to understand about our strengths, our weaknesses? What are the opportunities? Do we see any low-hanging fruit? Ultimately, the deliverable is a document that should be able to set a clear vision for the future and help support staff in making sound recommendations to the City Council for years to come. There is an innumerable amount of menu items that you can study, but in review with several staff members, we focused in on four main specific function areas, which I'll briefly go through, which was one, a robust stakeholder outreach. We want to hear from our business community and get them involved in this process, including current retail, hotel, tourism partners, our Chamber of Commerce, and our other community partners that have a vested interest in the success of Rancho Mirage. From that point on, we want to understand what's going on in the broader real estate market. We want to understand what's going on locally, statewide, nationally. And then one of the unique, on the real estate side, these can really help us guide policy direction for not only new commercial centers, but more importantly for us, the revitalization of existing and aging centers and creating strategies and tactics to help with that. One of the more interesting areas of work is we've kind of hijacked a process that the planning department's working on, but we really want to make sure that the land use is coming through the Highway 111 specific plan, which the development services team has been working on for some time, match the goals and objectives and actually reality of what's going on out there in the retail environment. So by having the specific plan reviewed by through the lens of economic development, we can make sure that we're proposing the right land uses to the City Council. And lastly, I'm going to squirm a little bit on this one, but economic consultants can help staff understand what's going on in the broader economics, trend lines with hotels and tourism, trend lines with retail, what's going on, what should we expect. They can give us a much firmer understanding of where our revenues are going to be going and forecasting in the discussion of do we need to be looking at the revenue side of the budget as we head into calendar year 2026. So my staff report and I continually use words like collaboration, cooperation, alignment, et cetera. But just briefly, we thought it was logical to leverage the VGPS and Riverside County data. I think we can demonstrate there's not only a cost savings, but it helps us make sure that we have synergy between all plans. And understanding that Rancho Mirage is a key job creator, we're an employment center. People come in every day to work and they leave to go home every evening. in support of our tourism, hospitality, and retail sectors. So it makes some natural sense to make sure our plans align with the more regional efforts. So we do think there's some synergy there as we move forward. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time here, but staff's recommendation back in 2024 to slow pause is leading to approximate 30% reduction in the overall cost to the city on this plan. So it's very easy to spend $200,000+ on behalf of an agency studying what's going on economically. We've realized a savings somewhere between $40,000 and $60,000 by allowing that data to be collected on somebody else's time. And again, the time that it took to get that is certainly helpful. And again, who is Nadelson Dale? They are a firm who specializes in economic development analysis, what's going on in the market analysis and fiscal impacts. At this point, they have a very deep understanding of what's going on in the Coachella Valley, and this isn't their first stint working in the Coachella Valley. I have personally worked with them in the past. They are very capable of conducting the work that we are asking of them. The plan, as they've presented it to and worked on with staff, ensures continuity in the strategy and messaging, places us kind of in line with the county, the VGPS, and then the city study, and it supports data-driven policy-making, meaning staff is going to have some data and plans. When we're making our recommendations, we're not guessing. So with that, that concludes staff's report. We are recommending approval of the professional services agreement, and we'd be happy to answer any questions. I'd be also happy, even though my name was on the staff report, this was an effort of just about everybody on this dais, and we'd all be happy to pitch in if we have to answer any questions here. Thanks.
Thank you, Ryan. Are there any public comments?
Yes, Brad Anderson.
Hello, Brad Anderson, City of Rancho Mirage. This is concerning item 6C, I believe. Yes. This is $135,000, and it's for data that's going to be redundant, that's already been collected. I understand the premise of what you want to do, but we have Mr. Downs fear-mongering concerning the economy. Is it the right time to spend this amount of money on this private company? I don't think so. That's my own personal opinion. And I just want to emphasize this point that the $135,000 is roughly close to what an election would have cost to get one of these city council members elected versus appointed. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak on item 6C? No other comments.
Thank you. Are there any council comments?
I do, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Last year during the election, this became a very important topic that people ask about throughout the entire election season. This is what we promised to do this year, and so I'm happy that this is a promise that we're keeping, to do an economic development strategy plan. And the second point I'd like to make is that considering the uncertainty about retail inventories and things like that, it's more important than ever that we have consultants who are experts on the data, and that's the appropriate thing to do.
I'd also like to make a comment. I love this because it's city-centric. Now, the regional studies are great, but this backs up and goes even micro into just what is happening within our city limits, which I think is vastly important. I also think the 111 specific plan, when you have a city that advertises, that was said today, that Restaurant Row, we have to talk about how do we maintain and keep or increase Restaurant Row, if that's where the business leaders decide to head. I think it helps support our chamber in the long run, and I think Katie and her team could do a lot with this kind of data in terms of improving the chamber and how it can serve its members. I also think this is key for local workforce development, not only on the backs of affordable housing, finding places for people that work here to live here, but how to attract better and more able-bodied workforce development for the major employer, Eisenhower being just one of a few, the casino, others, major employers that live within our city limits. And lastly, I think this leads indirectly to educational trends for Rancho Mirage High School, for Palm Springs Unified, to help those children who decide to stay in this valley and build their future to find the jobs that are sustainable and long-term. This data could go a very long way, and I think this is a great proposal.
Thank you. All good comments. Any other comments?
I do, Mr. Mayor. So I do sit on the Joint Powers Authority Executive Committee for Visit Greater Palm Springs. And the study, I'd like to just highlight some of the, one of the things that Councilmember Fromberg-Edelstein mentioned. So the issue for Visit Greater Palm Springs is to conduct a region-wide economic study that identifies opportunities for the entire region and attempts to determine if there are other industries or industries that we should attempt to attract to this region. That's their job. Our job with respect to this economic study is to figure out how we do the same thing on our local economic basis. So it made sense for us to wait until the VGPS study was complete or close to complete to begin our own study. And it also made sense for us to ride on their coattails with the same consultant. So I'm going to vote yes for this, and I thank you, Ryan, and everybody else on this dais for your hard work on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? I will entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion that we approve a professional services agreement with Nadelson Dale Group Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $135,000 for an economic development strategic plan.
Second. There's a motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. The next item will be item 6D, which is the Amphitheater Programming Master Plan Professional Services Agreement. Gabe Cotting, our Director of Marketing. Gabe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I thought it was only fair. Haley Tice, who's our marketing and event specialist, who's been with us almost 6 years and has put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into our amphitheater, and did a majority of the work on drafting the RFP, coming up with the ideas, interviewing stuff. So I thought it was only fair to allow her to give the presentation. So I'm going to pass it on to her, and then we'll help with any follow-up questions.
Very humble.
Why are you making your staff cry? That's the first thing that I want to know. You're in a safe place here, Haley. Go ahead.
Go for it, Holly.
All right. Good afternoon, Mayor Weil, council members, and city staff. Thank you for the opportunity to present today. We are here to share the recommendation to award the contract for the Rancho Mirage Amphitheater Programming Master Plan. The Rancho Mirage Amphitheater, built in 2015, is nearing its 10-year anniversary. As part of the city's commitment to positioning the Rancho Mirage Amphitheater as a premier cultural destination, staff initiated a request for proposals to develop a comprehensive programming master plan. Guided by City Council and the Amphitheater Subcommittee, this plan marks a strategic milestone in shaping a long-term vision for the venue. It will serve as a foundational roadmap, aligning programming, branding, partnerships, operations, and capital improvements with the city's broader goals for cultural enrichment, community engagement, and economic vitality, while providing a data-driven framework to support informed decisions and distinguish Rancho Mirage regionally. The 4 key goals for this project are: 1, analyzing historical programming trends, audience demographics, and the amphitheater's evolving role within the Coachella Valley. 2, evaluating comparable venues throughout the region to identify opportunities for differentiation, innovation, and strategic positioning. 3, conducting a feasibility study to assess long-term growth potential, economic return, and opportunities for public-private partnerships. And finally, number 4, engaging a broad representation of stakeholders, including city officials, resort partners, residents, and industry experts, to develop a community-informed and evidence-based strategy. The scope of work includes robust market research, financial analysis, and community engagement. It considers both free and paid content, ensuring public access while exploring revenue opportunities. Ultimately, the plan aims to balance community impact with economic viability. The chosen agency will deliver a mission and purpose statement, branding roadmap, and a 5-year programming schedule designed to broaden audience appeal, deepen cultural impact, and enhance the amphitheater's regional prominence. The RFP process. Following a competitive and thorough evaluation process during which staff reviewed 7 proposals and interviewed all bidding firms, Victus Advisors was identified as the most qualified and strategically aligned candidate to lead this effort. Their experience with both municipal and high-profile venues demonstrates a deep understanding of venues with similar audience profiles, programming goals, and branding aspirations. Victus Advisors' methodology emphasizes a balance of analytical depth and creative vision. Their proposed approach includes extensive stakeholder engagement, industry benchmarking, and a carefully structured planning process that will ensure the final deliverable reflects Rancho Mirage's unique identity, tourism objectives, and community values. The project timeline. The process can begin upon approval and is targeted to be completed by early 2026. Fiscal impact. The total cost for the development of the amphitheater's programming master plan is not to exceed $100,000 and will be distributed over 2 fiscal years. Staff recommendation. Victus Advisors is a nationally recognized firm with deep experience in public venue strategy. Their work spans both municipal and private amphitheaters, and their research-driven, community-focused approach aligns well with Rancho Mirage's goals. Staff recommendation is to enter into contract with Victus Advisors. Thank you for your time, and we would be happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Haley. And indeed, as Gabe said on the program, Haley gets there early in the morning and doesn't leave till the programs are over, well into the evening. So thank you for all of the time and efforts you put in, without a doubt. Are there any other comments?
Yes, Brad Anderson.
Thank you again, Brad Anderson, City of Rancho Mirage. Item number 6D, I believe. This is again $100,000 for something that the city staff should be able to provide. I'm not anti-Rancho Mirage, believe it or not. I'm about conserving resources, especially since doom and gloom's coming, according to one of the council members, economicer, if I could say that correctly. But I'm concerned. Again, this is $100,000 that could have been spent on an election, and I don't mean to rile up the appointees, but there's Frank Sinatra Bridge. That was a perfect example. I was never in favor of that, and now we're rewriting history where the councilor was not ever in favor of it. And that's the spin that I'm getting, and that's great. It's not going forward. And there was a study of the roadways to see if potholes are going to form, and that's before the assistant manager became assistant manager. I was against that, but that had to be done. And this year is the only year that I can remember seeing so many potholes. So I don't think this funds should be spent in this matter. And again, this is information that should be attainable through our regional contracts, through the city itself. And we're talking one venue, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any other comment?
Is there
Public
anyone
comments?
else? Sorry, is there anyone else who would like to speak on item 6D? No other speakers.
Thank you. Are there any council comments? If there are none, I'll.
I do, Mr.
Oh, Michael?
I would just like to take an opportunity to thank Haley and Gabe because you did exhaustive work on this. You made it look simple in this presentation, but I know how dedicated and how exhaustive it was to go through all of that process. So I just want to say thank you for your work.
Yes.
Again, the same comment, similar to the last one. We have an incredible opportunity. We have an amazing venue, and it's probably not maximized in a way that serves the community, and even to the point of also making sure it covers its expenses, if not, doesn't prove itself to be a profit center. And again, to be city-centric in what we can do with our own theater program there and how we can make it usable for the community, I think information like this is vital. So, thank you.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. When a city constructs a venue such as this, they have an idea of what potential a venue like this can provide, but it is a work in progress. It continually evolves, it continually improves, and it takes time. It's only been 10 years. And what we have accomplished, I should not include myself on that. I'm not part of the events team. We have all these wonderful dedicated employees that make it all happen. And just short of a miracle on many levels. And what's amazing is that it's not only Rancho Mirage residents that benefit from this, but we have residents from across the valley that continually come, the repeat customers, if you will, that enjoy what our marketing and events team provides. We're taking it to another level, and we want to take it to another level, which is why this contract is very important. If we were event experts up here, we would have been able to handle it. But we allow our staff and team to provide that work, to make the productions happen. But we want to help them grow as well, and with the growth of our community. A perfect example is Earth Day. Earth Day was phenomenal. Held at the library, so we had our library team involved. We had many of our staff members here involved. We had vendors. We had our farmers market vendors. We had everything from microgreens. A wonderful woman that has microgreens, every type of herb and vegetable possible. She brought a chef to share with the public how to make those microgreens work within your diet and how it's beneficial with health. We help children make bird feeders out of ice cream, sugar ice cream cones, nut butter and seeds, bookmarks with flowers and greenery. Burtech, our partnerships throughout the valley came. The library community room was filled with hundreds of people from as small as 2 years old, way beyond my age, maybe close to the mayor's age.
Whoa.
I'll get that. I'll get that.
You know,
You'll pay for that.
It was. I will.
You know,
but you know what?
the wait was interminable.
But you know, it was for people of all ages, and that's what our events bring to our city, and we thank you for that. It's a lot of hours above and beyond, and it's with Gabe and Haley, and I see Pablo, and there are people that step to the plate with every event, and I really appreciate everything it takes to make those events come off with such success and at such variety, and we're looking forward to growing.
If I may, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, please.
So I'll do my best to avoid any suggestion about the age of those who enjoy our various venues. I think it's critical that we engage in this master plan. So we have a remarkable facility there at the amphitheater, and we have never spent the time that we should to figure out exactly how best to utilize that wonderful asset for this city. Now, a great many people who live in this city, and as has been mentioned, live in adjoining cities, enjoy this amphitheater. And it's important for us to figure out how best to use it. Now, this is a consultant that has engaged in similar studies for similar event facilities around the country. This is valuable information for us to learn and understand about how we can best use this facility. The other issue about the amphitheater is that our ability to use it is limited. It's limited, one, because of weather here in the valley. So there are a couple of months during the hot summer months when it's very, very difficult, if not impossible, to use that facility. It's also the case that it's located in an area of the city where it would be very difficult to carry on events during the week. So we're limited in the amount of time that we can use it. It's critical that we have the right consultant to help us to understand how to use this remarkable asset during those limited times that it can be used. As you can guess, I plan to vote yes on this master plan. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any other comments? You know, apropos of the comments that have been made as to the percentage of Rancho Mirage residents that use the amphitheater, this pertains really to all of our amenities in the city, whether it be the dog park or the library or the observatory. The vast majority are non-Rancho Mirage residents because these cities recognize the value of these amenities. And we're delighted, by the way. There is no, obviously, restriction, but they are overwhelmingly used by our neighboring cities. With that being said, I will entertain a motion regarding the amphitheater.
I'd like to make the motion, Mr. Mayor. I am happy to elevate the quality of life and the cultural opportunities that we have in the city of Rancho Mirage for all the reasons that have been stated. And with that, I would like to move that the City Council approve a professional services agreement with Victus Advisors in an amount not to exceed $100,000 for an amphitheater programming master plan.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion carries 5-0.
And congratulations. We look forward to a wonderful plan. The next item is 6E, and it's the Shop Local Rancho Mirage gift card program. Again, Gabe Cotting, Director of Marketing, and we have gotten a lot of positive comments about this program. If you would, Gabe.
Yes, I spared everybody back-to-back presentations, so thank you, Haley, for the previous one. Okay, we can bring up that presentation when we're ready. Just give it a second here. While I stare at my tie.
You must have made them cry too.
Yeah.
They don't have the technological knowledge that we also.
Hold on, I'll fix it. I'm just kidding. Okay. All right. Going ahead to get started, sans visuals. All right. So, Mayor, Council, staff, guests, thank you. I'm here today to provide an overview and propose a new bonus campaign for the Shop Local Rancho Mirage gift card program. As you may recall, City Council approved and launched this economic development initiative back on November 20th of 2024, allocating $50,000 towards a bonus incentive. This program offered a 50% bonus. So, for example, a $100 purchase would yield a $150 value. As the program administrator, the City of Rancho Mirage can determine the start and expiration date of the bonus card. And so what we did with our previous one is it launched in November, and the bonus expired in January 31st to target holiday spending and keeping that local. To date, the bonus funds were fully claimed within just 7 weeks. So meaning, $100,000 worth of cards were sold and $50,000 worth of bonus were expended in about 6-7 weeks of that time frame. And to date, there's been about a little over $160,000 worth of Shop Local cards that have been in circulation. Currently, we have 51 businesses in counting that are participating, and 26 of those, over half, are restaurants or specialty confectionaires. Approximately 72% of redemptions are spent on dining, with another 20% split between retail, shopping, and health and wellness. Here in Rancho Mirage, as is the case nationwide, these programs are especially impactful to the restaurant sector. An exciting platform update is coming soon. Yifty, who is the program administrator, is launching Tap to Pay, the Tap to Pay feature for iPhone. So all gift cards, whether you purchase a new gift card or you have an existing one, you'll be able to access it through the Yifty app, and there'll be an option to add it to your Apple Wallet, offering a seamless experience for consumers and merchants. Yifty is also currently working on that same version for like Google Pay and the Android platform as well. That will be launched later. At the end of this month, Visit Greater Palm Springs will launch its annual Restaurant Week. The city of Rancho Mirage is a proud sponsor of this initiative and uniquely covers participation fees for our local restaurants. We're one of the only cities that any of our restaurants can participate, and their fee is covered by the city of Rancho Mirage. Given the extensive regional PR campaign supporting this event, staff recommends launching a new bonus campaign to coincide with Restaurant Week and the Tap to Pay feature. Oh, let me back up a minute. There was Tap to Pay. There was my fancy pie chart. Tap to Pay, which we just discussed. Restaurant Week, which will be May 30th through the 8th. Thank you, guys. It's probably my fault. And then here's a collage of the restaurants that are currently in our gift card program and enjoying the benefits of that. So, as I said, at the end of this month, we're already a sponsor. And so staff's proposing a limited time bonus offered during Restaurant Week, May 30th to June 8th. This well-known regional culinary event offers a strong opportunity to drive increased traffic to Rancho Mirage dining establishments and raise the city's regional visibility. The campaign was discussed and developed with a mayor-appointed subcommittee focused on local economic growth. The proposed bonus, 50% of all gift card purchases, similar to the last program, will be supported by a $10,000 fund, with Restaurant Week kickoff event is set to take place at the Ritz-Carlton prior to the event kicking off. This initiative provides further promotion value. Staff is exploring future campaigns aligned with seasonal and regional events, which will be brought before the City Council for approval. So, in essence, this would just be a week program. We'd put $10,000 in, get 50% bonus. Your card that you purchase doesn't expire, but that bonus that you get for your purchase would only be good for that week. And while all the PR is going around the whole valley for all the dozens and dozens of restaurants, let's get people excited about the program, piggyback on that PR, and drive into Rancho Mirage restaurants. So with that concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions. And I'd like to note this request is only for $10,000 and Ryan's was for $135,000.
Gabe, last time, how many residents not from Rancho Mirage bought the cards?
So that's a great question. So about 75, so there's 50% of the program. So let's say there was about 1,300 cards that went out in the previous program. 50% Rancho Mirage residents. Another 25% were within the region, but not Rancho Mirage. So about 75 to 80% Rancho Mirage plus the region. And then the others are people coming into town or don't have a primary residence here.
Any public comments?
I did not receive any speaker cards. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak on 6E? No speakers.
Any other council comments regarding this program?
I just love this because of the fact it supports our restaurants here in Rancho Mirage. And it's the chamber is thrilled with this program. Our restaurant owners have been thrilled with it. Our residents who purchased it and visitors enjoyed it from the comments that we've received in the past. So I think it's a winner.
Yeah, I concur with that. I mean, at those areas where I have been speaking, I have been asked, are we going to continue this program? And I was pleased to let them know that we were very much considering it, and they'll be more than pleased to know that today we likely approved it. So with that being said, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll go ahead and make the motion, but first, Mr. Mayor, I'd also like to comment that I think this is a terrific program. So our city has long been known for a great quality of life for our residents, but also a great place to do business for our business community. So as you mentioned, Mr. Mayor, we've heard lots of comments from our chamber and from our business community about the value of this program and how it strengthens our business community and this council's relationship to the chamber and to the business community. So I'm very much in favor of this program. And so I will make the motion that this council approve a new Shop Local Rancho Mirage gift card bonus program to coincide with the Visit Greater Palm Springs Restaurant Week, which is May 30th through June 8th of 2025, utilizing a $10,000 bonus fund with a 50% match incentive.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, the last item on our agenda at the moment is the consideration of a resolution in support of Eisenhower Medical Center's challenge to the Desert Healthcare District's validation action pertaining to the tenant lease. With that, Colin Kirkpatrick, our city attorney, if you would, please.
Thank you, Mayor. This resolution before you was directed as stated by the mayor at the last meeting. If adopted, it would provide the city's support of Eisenhower Medical Center's legal action with respect to Desert Healthcare District's validation action regarding the tenant lease. I'm here for questions regarding the resolution or any of the surrounding facts. Thank you.
Are there any public comments?
Yes, Brad Anderson.
Thank you again, Brad Anderson of the city. This is item 6F concerning the Desert Healthcare District legal rules, or what the Eisenhower, I guess, legal action against the Desert Healthcare District. Believe it or not, I'm always been in support of the city's position on this. I don't believe a resolution's in order because by doing that, you're really going after the voters that voted for the Desert Healthcare District to retain control or to have Tenet, the private hospital organization, come in and manage that, or actually buy it off, I guess, eventually. So there was a mandate, and again, I didn't vote that way, just so everybody knows. I was probably the only person that sees no purpose for the Desert Healthcare District any longer in the valley, and would like to see it dissolved. But that's not going to happen. So I guess I already made my point. I'm opposed to the resolution. I'm in support of the city's position, but the resolutions I'm not. The Desert Healthcare District is, it's very similar to the city of Rancho Mirage. They just love to spend other people's money. So I would just hopefully, and I did write comments on that, and I was concerned about how it was proposed the last meeting by Mr. Downs. And so I don't think that's the regulations or the proper way to bring something to the council, but anything goes in the city. So thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any other public comments?
That was the only speaker card. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on item 6F? That was the only speaker.
I'll call for council comments.
So I'd be happy to comment on this, Mr. Mayor, particularly since I was the person who asked that this be brought to this agenda. Let me first help the residents of this city understand a little bit about how items are brought to the agenda. Any member of this council can ask for any item to be brought to the agenda at any time that they wish. So that's the reason that I asked for this item to be brought last time. It's because I believed that that the non-compete clause was the wrong thing to do, and I wanted to hear what my council colleagues also had to say about it. Now, the issue here is that the Desert Health Care District does not operate the Desert Regional Medical Center. They haven't been able to. In 1997, the Desert Healthcare District leased the hospital to Tenet. And that was a good thing. And the reason it was a good thing is because the Desert Healthcare District was not a very good operator. They could not operate it without significant support from the taxpayers in the district. And so they made the decision to lease to Tenet. Now, that was a 30-year lease that was engaged in 1997, and the district voters approved to renew that lease in November of 2024. Now, I don't have any issue with the basic concept of the lease for the obvious reason that the Desert Healthcare District is not able to operate that hospital. They must engage with a operator who can, in fact, operate the hospital. That's what Tenet does. I don't have any problem with that. What I do have a problem with is the language in the non-compete clause in that lease, and I believe it was the wrong thing to do. Now, this district, the Desert Healthcare District, does two things. They own that leased hospital, and they make grants to healthcare providers around the district. Now, the district gets funds to make those grants from two sources, from lease payments made by Tenet, but also from property tax revenues that are generated by my property tax dollars and yours. So therein lies my issue. Our tax dollars are used to fund a charitable institution, essentially, the Desert Healthcare District. And those tax dollars that they raise are then redistributed to provide health care to district residents. Now, it's reasonable that our tax dollars should not be restricted. I don't want mine restricted, and I doubt any of you want yours restricted, especially by the Desert Healthcare District that has a huge mandate over a 457 square mile district, wherein one organization can't get the benefit of Desert Healthcare grants. And that single organization is Eisenhower Medical Center. Why would that be? Why should my funds and yours be restricted? Especially Eisenhower Medical Center, an organization that, as we learned not a short while ago, has more than 100 healthcare facilities sprinkled around this desert. More, by the way, than the Desert Regional Hospital has. Eisenhower Healthcare is very, very capable of providing health services in a wide area of this 457 square mile district that the Desert Regional Hospital can't provide. Why should my tax dollars and yours be restricted artificially by a public health care company, a publicly traded health care company that's based in Texas? I have a problem with it, and I think most people in the city have a problem with it. And that's why I raised this issue at the last council meeting. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Steve. Are there other comments? I previously have expressed my opposition to the non-compete aspect. I have used the expression that I felt that it truly was a restraint of trade, that it was restricting the value of services that should be provided. And so I'm very much in favor of expressing our concern and recommend that we go on record of expressing it accordingly. If there are no other comments.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
Does the resolution, do we know, or would it have impact on the legal action that's being taken?
Not directly. It's more indirect support of Eisenhower's position in challenging the validation action.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? I'll call for a motion, please.
I will be happy to make the motion that this council adopt this resolution in favor of Eisenhower's opposition to the validation action taken to court by the Desert Healthcare District.
I'll second. There's a motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion carries 5-0.
That's good. I think that message is strong and should be sent. So, again, thank you for the motion. We are now at the point of non-agenda public comments. This was an opportunity for the public to speak on issues not on the agenda for a maximum of 3 minutes per speaker. Will you call the first speaker?
Certainly. The first speaker is Susan Ragsdale.
Hello, City Council. It's a pleasure to see you all. My love of God is the greatest thing in my life. It's unbelievable. It makes me love everyone. It's such a beautiful feeling. Wherever I go, I see the light of God in everyone's eyes. And I've been thinking about it a lot lately. I've already written as much as I possibly can about what happened to me. It was a mistake and a misunderstanding on the part of the city. I believe it would be very good if the city would have a meeting with me, or a member of the city council, so that they can get my point of view, because I have a lot to offer, having been through something extraordinary. All this time, I kept thinking, why is this happening to me? Why is this so crazy and illogical? And I just kept saying, well, I have faith in God. I know that there's something I'm supposed to be learning here. And one of the things that I want to say particularly is that I forgive you, Mr. Hagerman. I forgive you. Are you listening to me, Mr. Hagerman? Okay, good. Because you're not looking at me. I want to be sure. I forgive you. You took on a job. When you know what, I moved into Whispering Waters the day you became the city manager, and I've always thought, whoa, what a coincidence. Because we have been, I don't know, in a strange relationship that doesn't make any sense to me, except that I know God is telling me something. And God's telling all of us something because of this. I forgive you, Mr. Hagerman. I really do. And I forgive you, Mr. Mayor, for being afraid of me and not understanding. And I forgive you, Steve, for perhaps saying things that weren't appropriate. Life is not this complicated. We're all human beings and we make mistakes. I certainly made 2 huge ones. And it's hard to forgive yourself, but I can forgive all of you. And I love you. I know that sounds really, but I mean it. And I gave you my artwork, and I want you to use it if you feel like you can. I think my ideas are really good. I think they would stand out. I don't want to go over my time, but please help me, because I chose Rancho Mirage as my home because this is my favorite place to live. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker.
Robert Lewinter.
Good afternoon, Mayor Weil, council members, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself before I make my comments, so they're valid. You feel they're valid. I've lived here in Rancho Mirage full-time for 13 years at the Lake Mirage Racquet Club. Prior to moving here in my career, I was the Associate Healthcare Consultant for the European Command of the United States Air Force. I then came to California and was an executive at the City of Hope Medical Center. And then I was an executive at the University of California, San Diego's University Hospital. And then after that, I was the Associate Director of Hospital Administration at the UCLA Medical Center, where I retired from. I later had a healthcare consulting company, and then I went to work for the California Department of Public Health, which licensed hospitals, and I've probably been in 105 California hospitals during my career. The reason I'm here today is to talk about Eisenhower Health. And I listened to the beautiful presentation by the president of the foundation, And unfortunately, that doesn't meet with my experiences. I've been a patient at Eisenhower for the 13 years that I've been here. I finally had to hire a concierge physician and spend $4,000 a year because I couldn't find anybody that met the standards of what I considered great care. I've been a patient in the emergency room here, spending 6, 8, 12 hours in the emergency room. I have had robotic surgery, as the gentleman said earlier, how good that is. But I can tell you after the robotic surgery that I had, for 2 months, I was back in the emergency room every week and readmitted to the hospital. And finally, thank heavens, we've got it under control. And thank heavens for the physician that I hired, because he and the surgeon that took care of me saved my life. I find that the nurses who work full-time at Eisenhower are terrific. But the problem is they can't hire a full complement of nurses, and they have a bunch of traveling nurses, and they only give them a day to learn how the systems work. And there's really no supervision of those nurses, I can tell you, because I've been a patient so many days in this hospital. What bothers me is that my tax dollars are used to support the hospital. And for example, I have no problem with my tax dollars being used for the hospital.
I'm going to ask you to kind of conclude your comments if you want, please.
Am I out of time?
Yes, you are.
You want me to stop?
No, go ahead, but please wind it up.
But we have office buildings that have physicians' practices, and I want to know if those, if we pay city taxes on those, or should taxes be charged for those buildings that are, because you sign a form that says the physicians do not work for Eisenhower. I don't know if you've been a patient here, but even if you don't have your glasses on, they ask you to sign this form, and the form says the physician isn't employed by Eisenhower. So what I'm asking is that you consider the tax status of Eisenhower Health. And if I'm correct, that you use those funds to help improve the personnel that are hired at this institution.
I'm going to ask you to wind up your comments.
Pardon me?
I'm going to ask you to wind up your comments now.
I'm done for now.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for being here today.
Patrick Lowry.
Good afternoon, Patrick Laurie, 21-year resident of Rancho Mirage. I'm here to speak a bit on Eisenhower. First, let me say this. I've dealt quite a bit with staff here. It's fantastic. And the other program here that we have, which is for the shop local, my son participates in that with his business. Terrific. Good work. But let me make another comment here, back to Eisenhower. And I'm going to criticize you. Praise is an addiction. Is that clear? Praise is an addiction. Once you get involved with it, you can't stop it. You can't be critical anymore. You can't be objective, and you can't be caring. Stop it. Eisenhower has problems. Okay? I call it, I want to put this plainly, because I know how valuable they are to us, what they mean to the community. But I know this today. Somebody went to the poorest doctor at Eisenhower. You can't refute that. Somebody went to the best. Long as that is on the table, we've got to be diligent. Watch over these facilities, this place called Eisenhower. This, to me, in my anger at them and the way they've taken care of me and would have had to fight to get care, I call indifferent care. Now, somebody mentioned about, well, my goodness, everybody says they're wonderful. Not true. People who use Eisenhower rated at 2.5. Is that wonderful? No. Then you talk about Newsweek doing a good job. What do you want to listen to? Newsweek, who hasn't spent a day in the hospital? What do you want to listen to patients who say 2.5? Now let's get really quickly into two issues. One is the idea of wait time. Other hospitals here in the Valley must have the same problems. They must, but their wait time is far lower. Next thing is, Eisenhower got nailed on washing hands. Now that sounds silly, right? Washing hands? But do you realize that 2 million people a year go to healthcare and get something in a hospital they didn't have when they presented themselves? They got it at the hospital. 100,000 of those people died from something they didn't walk in there with. You know what the number one cause was? Washing your hands. Now, I was at the emergency room last week, again with this stupid heart of mine. Nobody washed their hands, you have to remind them, and they get indignant. How dare you tell me a doctor to wash my hands? How dare you tell me a nurse to wash my hands? Wash your bloody hands. I'm trying to live 16 seconds, that's enough. Now I get a bit emotional about this because, again, I'm telling you, stop the praise all the time. Get critical. Expect the most all the time from that hospital. Final point, go Firebirds.
Thank you for your comments.
Wally Melendez?
Good afternoon, City Council and administration. So I'm going to focus on Rancho Mirage University. And my clock here doesn't work. Anyway, so I'll be looking up at that one over there. So I'm going to focus on Rancho Mirage University. And I'm going to focus on the law school of Rancho Mirage University. Before I continue on that, I want to strongly say to the City Council, the mayor, that it's your responsibility to set a time limit on the presentations. The guy from the hospital, he goes on, and I've seen it with many other presentations. The fire department also does it, on and on and on. We pay for your salaries. We, the people. And so I want to focus on Rancho Mirage University because a lot of people in this area, just like in D.C., Trump and his cabinet, and I'm not saying you, I'm saying Trump and his cabinet are a bunch of idiots. Okay? So I got 1 minute left. And so I want to concentrate on the law school of the Rancho Mirage University. For one good reason. That man that was talking about the bad treatment he got, I used to call it the Eisenhower Hospital. Because when you come to a town, you find out about the hospital. Eisenhower is not even called a hospital. I'm finding that out. And I got 29 seconds left. I'm going to tell you one of the sayings that I heard some time ago. Not against you, Kirkpatrick, but I'm going to leave you with this. A lawyer will rob you. A doctor will rob you and kill you.
Brad Anderson?
Thank you again, Brad Anderson, City of Rancho Mirage. That is blinding. I don't know if you know, but it hurts my eyes just by sitting in the front row. Maybe a double split screen might be an answer. This is all new to this city council meeting, just so everybody at home knows. This is, of course, non-agenda public comments, item 7. And I'm sorely disappointed, and hopefully you're ashamed, by moving public comments from the beginning of the meeting to the end of the meeting. I think this is an intentional action by city staff, I guess, because there was no prior warning that I know of that the city was going to take this radical action. Of course, I submitted written comments too, so hopefully somebody can read my unedited version of what I'm feeling today. This is not the first time this has happened to me. This has happened at CVAG, Coachella Valley Association of Governments. They did the same thing by limiting public participation in a hope, I believe, to disenfranchise public speakers or anybody becoming involved in the people's business. And this is what this is. And the Coachella Valley Vector Control District. This is just 2 organizations I know of that purposely rearranged their agenda to disenfranchise the public from coming to these meetings. Of course, this heightens my ability to come now, and I'll have to stay for the whole meeting. But most people won't. And just so you know, the city of Coachella, I think you may have elements, or I guess, I don't know, some kind of data on the YouTube of when people watch and what they watch and when they not watch it and so forth. And that's maybe part of your actions today to change the whole agenda. But the city of Coachella, they have an outstanding video presentation of their public meetings, and you can skip around and you don't have to wade through the city council meetings like you do on YouTube, I believe. And just so you know, I don't watch myself on YouTube. I always went for the minutes, but now those are inaccurate, so I can't even read those to really know what's going on in the city. And not just the council meeting, but the many subcommittee meetings. So I'm just sorely disappointed that you would do this. And just so everybody knows, Palm Springs city council meetings are the worst in the nation, if not in the state of California. In my opinion, they have 2 minutes of speaking time. This is not a recommendation to do this, by the way. 2 minutes speaking for the whole entire meeting. And that's insane. If I lived there, I would probably litigate. But I don't live in that city. I live in this city. And this city is doing a terrible thing to the residents, myself, by doing this action. And hopefully you will reverse it, but I doubt that. Thank you.
That was the last speaker card. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on something that is not on the agenda? Okay, please step to the lectern and state your name.
Thank you. I'll be brief. My name is Carrie. I'm a new resident. I've been here for 6 months. Came from the San Francisco Bay Area, and my husband and I moved to Mission Hills. I work for the city of Walnut Creek. We sold our home in Lafayette, and while I was living there, I worked for the city of Walnut Creek. It's a city of about 70,000. So I'm very familiar with sitting in city council meetings. But I do want to commend you. This is my first that I'm attending in Rancho Mirage. I am so impressed with the efficiency, the dialogue, the engagement that is going on in this meeting. I've learned more in the 2 hours I've been sitting here than I have in 6 months of living here. And I also want to commend you on the many wonderful things that I've experienced. I wasn't planning on talking about Eisenhower, but coincidentally, my very first week being here, I came down with diverticulitis. What is that and how did I get it? I had the most amazing experience at Eisenhower, and I realize that our medical situations are very personal to us and that there are so many factors that go into that. The day of the week, the time, luck. But I will tell you from the moment I walked in, it was like a 5-star Ritz-Carlton experience to the point where I actually wrote a letter. I have never done that, certainly not with Kaiser. So, so far, that's a sidebar note, but I really wanted to just come up and thank you for your service to our community because it takes a lot of work. I know what a city manager does. I know what an assistant city manager does. It is a lot of hours on behalf of the community when not all of us are going to be pleased with the outcome. So I thank you very much for agreeing to be in the role. And I never hesitated to put a few tax dollars towards local government because I value it and it's critical to the survival of our local communities. So thank you for your time. Lastly, I will just finish by saying my only pet peeve, being that I've been in tech for most of my career, has been the lack of public Wi-Fi. And I have called on that. I'm very big proponent of it. I was in Iceland 6 months ago. I had the best reception of my life. We should have that here. It's now, incumbent upon all of us with an aging population here to be sure that we have, public access to Wi-Fi for visitors, for directions. I could have some kind of a complication in my car and have to pull over, and I have no way to figure out how I'm going to get somewhere. So let's make sure that we make that a priority because there's no way in this, tech and AI environment that we're in that we shouldn't have that unless I'm missing something. But I want to end again as a thank you to all of you, everyone sitting in these seats, how much I appreciate your time and effort in managing this wonderful city that I'm absolutely thrilled to be in. I can't tell you how happy I am to be out of the traffic. Thank you.
Thank you. It's always nice to hear positive compliments, particularly on non-agenda public comments.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak on something not on today's agenda? That was the last speaker.
All right, we will now go into closed session. Is there any request for discussion regarding closed session?
Yes, Brad Anderson.
Thank you again, Brad Anderson, City of Rancho Mirage. I will wait for the attorney's report. I think I can determine what he's going to talk about. It's not positive, but I have lost trust in what the city council does. And when they go to closed session, I have the city attorney and council members, and there's no other eyes on that committee or commission, or not commission, but closed session items. I would like to see some public officials, maybe a fire chief or somebody else, emergency services that can sit on those meetings and maybe give me some confidence that maybe those meetings are conducted properly. I just noticed on the minutes that, again, the only thing I can look at, it took an hour to go to the back room and back, and one potential case at the last meeting, I'm always worried that you're going to sue me again. So, so I'm always worried about that. So hopefully, with time that I can trust, maybe with new city council people, maybe. But other than that, probably not. So I don't know what you're talking about except for this. Hopefully you can do it in a timely manner and efficient manner and keep minutes on the minute book. And so potential litigation down the road can be taken if needed. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak on closed session? No further comments.
All right. I will now, before we go into closed session, I will ask our attorney to summarize items under discussion.
Thank you, Mayor. We'll be convening in a closed session for the item before you on the agenda listed as 8A, conference with legal counsel, potential initiation of litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 D4, one potential case.
Is there any public comment regarding that?
Very good.
Okay, we are now going into closed session. Do we need to? All right, the city council meeting is back in order. I will ask the city attorney to review items covered in the closed session.
Thank you, Mayor. Let the record reflect the entire council is present and was present at the closed session, and there's no reportable action taken today.
Thank you. The meeting is now adjourned.